Hi, I'm Yasmin Owusu, and this is my producer, Charlie Kesenek.
But I'm your husband, and you're using all my stuff right now. What are you talking about?
So anyway, I've been looking for a one-stop shop podcast for wellness, amateur sociology, psychology, pop culture, and whatever else sparks my interest. So I created one. We are limited to no lanes. We hit the gas and get into it. This is Peaked. Press play. Hi, welcome to Peak Podcast. I'm Yasmin. I'm back in my nook, solo, looking a little less glamorous than I like to look for my podcast. But, you know, I had a wedding this weekend, not my own. I went to a wedding this weekend. And yesterday just decided to have a martini happy hour at our favorite spot called Holiday. And we look how we look and we feel how we feel. So I'm wearing no makeup today for this podcast. I'm wearing about as much makeup as Alicia Keys was during that really annoying self-righteous phase where she was going around saying that she wears no makeup anymore and she just doesn't feel it. She's not believing. She doesn't feel it in her spirit. Girl, you're wearing a full face. The same way I'm wearing a full face right now, just not with a bold eye, without eyeliner, and not with a bold lip. The girlies knew. I feel like dudes were like, finally, a woman who feels secure enough to wear no makeup. Meanwhile, I'm pretty sure what happened is she had a successful run with Accutane and then stopped having to wear the crazy beat that she was wearing in the beginning of her career. She had a Demi Lovato level beat when she first came out. And I think, once she got more confident about her skin and she started wearing this kind of everyday, no makeup, glowy, whatever thing, she was like, I'm just going to start being crazy and telling everybody I'm wearing no makeup whatsoever. Completely ridiculous. But it is kind of similar, but different to what I think is going on with this Pamela Anderson thing, where everyone's like, this is a beacon of aging naturally. Pamela Anderson, aging naturally. Naturally. Finally, we see a natural face her age. This lady has had a facelift. This woman has had a facelift. She didn't deny it when she had it. We were actually kind of criticizing it because it hadn't settled in yet. I don't know if anyone remembers, but there was a period where it just felt like she had this kind of bulbous forehead and everything was shiny and she had that kind of uncanny valley look. I'm realizing I kind of look bald with my hair slicked back like this, but it is what it is. I'm not knocking her showing up in the world in a way that feels more authentic to her, that she is happy wearing a bare face and not playing as much to the male gaze as maybe she did in her earlier years. And that's great. And I'm sure there's some healing things about that. And I respect her for it. And I don't think there's anything wrong with the fact that she had a facelift. If that's what you want to do, then that's what you should do. It's not even necessarily her dialogue. So I'm not blaming her. I just think the media and everyone on social media just completely forgetting or brushing over the fact that this woman had an entire facelift before she started wearing no makeup. She was wearing plenty of makeup before the facelift, and after it, now she's not. And she has this kind of cute shag, and I like the new color, and I think she looks great in her more kind of high fashion and a little less femme fatale styling. I think it works very well for her, and I think she's a beautiful woman, and she's had a facelift. By the way, if you want to look it up, you could probably find it. If you look at photos of her in 2010, and then you look at photos of her in current, you can see that there is a marked difference, that this woman has had cosmetic work done. Also, if you want a little hot tip, we naturally have this indentation between our jawbone here and our ear, right? I also have an Armenian sideburn, but just let's ignore that. But when people have had a facelift, it sort of goes just jaw straight to this part, to the tragus. It just goes straight across and there's no indentation here. And then also they'll have this kind of elongated pixie ear thing. Because I guess, I don't know, I don't do facelifts, but I've just noticed this. Their ear will look like this and it'll look straight across like that. So if they ever have their hair back, you can always tell. Nicole Kidman, I'm talking to you. Her ears are literally down to here now. So maybe she's had a couple. But anyway, I just maybe want that whole dialogue to just be a little bit more authentic to what's going on. She is showing up with a more natural look than she was before and than many people are on the red carpet, but she is not aging naturally. Cutting your face all along your hairline and yanking it up surgically is not aging naturally. But that's enough on that. I do quickly, before I launch into just absolute nonsense, I'm going to just be talking pop culture nonsense today because I'm entirely hungover to be serious or get in depth with anything else. I mean, we all know I'm usually a hard-hitting journalist, but not showing up that way today. But quickly, I do want to mention Zoran Mamdani winning the New York City mayoral race. This was the candidate that I wanted, even though I'm now living in Texas, suffering under Hot Wheels, Greg Abbott and co. I still feel really invested. New York City was my city for 15 years. My sister still lives there with her husband. And, a lot of my friends are still in the state, if not actually in the city. And we're all just absolutely thrilled that Mamdanistan is going to be, mashallah, alive and well and being improved. I obviously agreed, not obviously, I agreed with a lot of things he had to say politically and just social programs he wants to implement and a lot of things philosophically we align on. And it was really just kind of nice to listen to a political candidate of any kind answer questions and not sort of a skirt and actually just have things that are our values, and that he's very happy to talk about his Muslim heritage and not kind of step back for a bit or kind of subvert it anyway because people are trying to weaponize it. And just also, I did really find it funny when he was asked in the debates a lot about parades, and he's just kind of like, I don't sit around thinking about parades. Sometimes these questions can be so crazy, and like the whole environment around elections, whether they're presidential or whether they're primaries or your local elections, that we kind of lose sight of some of the nutty things that these people are being kind of forced to react to. And I think it was really just great to hear him be like, I don't know why we're talking about parades so much. Conversely, this really interesting character, Curtis Sliwa, had plenty to say about parades. Listen, I don't want him to be in charge of New York City, let alone really much else that's very important to people's well-being. But I really do kind of want to see more of this character in general. I want to see more of him in his beret. And do yourself a favor and look up him giving a house or his apartment tour with his 18 cats. And, he obviously talks about his assassination attempt by crime families, because I don't think he goes 5 minutes without talking about it. Anyway, I find him really fascinating, and I just want to see him in some capacity. I don't know if he needs to have a reality show or what, but I'd like to see more of this man. But a little bit more on Zoran. I want to say he's basically my cousin, and I'll tell you why. I went to school. I went to high school in Uganda, where he is partly from. He's an Indian ethnic Ugandan national, I guess. His mom is Mira Nair, who is a famous director. She did Mississippi Masala, Monsoon Wedding, and she's an Indian Ugandan woman. And he is also named after Kwame Nkrumah. His middle name is Kwame, which is my brother's name, by the way. And my brother is also named after Kwame Nkrumah. My brother, so in Ghana, where I'm half from, you get a Ghanaian name based on the day of week that you're born. So everyone has one. Like mine is Ama, which, don't kill me, I think it's born on Saturday. But either way, I know which one it is. Is that not good enough? My brother's actually should have been Kofi because he was born on the day he was born, which was not the day that you're supposed to have Kwame. But my dad was like, knowing that we were going to be going to to English-speaking schools, he was like, people are going to be calling him Coffee, like Coffee Cop. And he just didn't like that idea. So instead, he named him after Kwame Nkrumah, who was a Ghanaian freedom fighting. Well, he was the first president of an independent African country, essentially. He ended the colonial rule by the British and became the first president of Ghana as an independent country. And the first in the continent. So that Zoran is named after him partly, and as is my brother. And I went to 5th and 6th grade in Uganda too, because my dad was posted there when I was younger, and then my stepmother, as I got older, was posted with the UN also in Uganda. So I did 9th, 10th, and 11th, or 10th, 11th, and 12th grade in Uganda. So we are the same, me and Mamdani, in our accomplishments and general random fun facts about our lives. Just kidding. But anyway, I'm very, 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 very stoked that he won. And I don't have to look at that Cuomo face much at all anymore. Moving on, we're going to move on to absolute nonsense that no one cares about, but everyone does secretly. So this week, Sydney Sweeney did an interview. So first of all, I think everyone knows about this jeans ad that she did that caused an uproar. It kind of had copy that sounded like it might be perhaps hinting at some eugenics, maybe just kind of racist. It was a jeans ad, and I won't say the name of the company because who cares? But she's essentially going like, she talks very strangely. She's going, jeans are passed down from person to person. Jeans are, you're born with good genes and you're born with bad genes, right? And essentially what people are saying is like, it's kind of just like, kind of dog whistling white supremacy. Like you have good genes if you're like blonde eyes. Did I say blonde eyes? Wow. She mentions having like blonde hair and blue eyes and that being in her genes. And those are good genes, right? Like sounds a little bit Yahtzee, perhaps. Think what you will about it. I thought it was kind of weird. But she had an interview about, I think it was about a movie that she's doing where she's like playing this real life boxer lady. But this interviewer, who was admittedly pretty annoying, she had this kind of, she was trying to be really buddy and like girlfriendy, but it was just coming off really inauthentic and creepy. But weird interviewer aside, she did ask her questions about this Jones ad, the ad about the Jones. And Sydney Sweeney's reaction was very coy. Like she kind of just like looked at her with a little smile when she was like, "Oh, you did a jeans ad. Do you want to talk about it?" And she's like, "We can talk about it." A little bit smug, a little bit like demure anyway. So she kind of pressed more and was like, well, people were saying that maybe it had this intonation or these overtones or undertones, whatever. I think they're overtones for, personally, but I don't know what is going on with this hair. Anyway. And when she pressed her about it, she just kind of was like, yeah, I think if I have something I want to discuss, people are going to know it. So it's not a yes, it is. It's not a like apology or just like I would never, none of that. She's like, I got my bag. I mean, you can interpret it two ways. She took the money for this ad and she just doesn't want to say anything against the brand, or she's, being like, that is my message. And, let's not all be divisive. You can be racist in America. I mean, you literally can. Anyway, so that's her line on that. I do want to say, I saw a lot of these comments online. There's as many people just being like, I mean, good genes, Sydney Sweeney, please. And being critical of the ad. But then there are these kind of like edge bros who are like, cope. This is just a good looking blonde woman and you can't handle it. Signore. If Monica Bellucci, circa when she was in Irreversible and she's married to Vincent Castle, was in an ad talking about genes sono creati, and we were going around saying that, she doesn't have good genes and she's ugly. Well, you know that we and the devil are a lie, okay? If Jessica Chastain, if Scarlett Johansson were in these ads, we would just be being like, we're disappointed. She's racist and we're disappointed. That's what we would be saying. We are saying we do not find Sydney Sweeney to be a shining example of superior genes because we feel that way, honey. Because we actually, a lot of us, do not find this woman attractive. Now, I'm not saying she's ugly. I'm just saying she maybe looks like, the hottest girl in the trailer park in Iowa. Maybe you can cope. That's what she looks like to me. It's giving a little bit low chromosome. It's giving a little bit, I don't know, shallow gene pool. It's not giving much of anything, in my opinion. And I know, I think a lot of men, not just white ones, imprinted that this is like the hottie of the century because she was in Euphoria and she was topless and she does have like let's just say she's well endowed, and with nice ones. Like, and I can agree, but I think it maybe give you a little bit of face card blindness. We're not going to argue on the boobs. Excellent boobs. The face is not. It's not giving. We're not jealous of Sydney Sweeney's face. Okay, and I promise you, every single bit of honesty I can give you, that if Angelina Jolie in her prime did that same ad, we would not be talking about her looks. We would just be saying, we don't like the ad, it's racist. We're talking about Sydney Sweeney's looks because it's a low-hanging fruit, and we really do feel that way about her looks. And that's that. That's the truth. You know, I don't know who's the snowflake, us or you, but that's really how we feel. I don't know. Moving on with more nonsense, and more people who have some allegations of white supremacist behavior. We've got our friend Taylor Swift. I'm sure a lot of people have heard that there are people who feel like there are kind of some racisty dog whistles on her new album. Like, there is a line where she's like, "I'm not a bad bitch. This isn't savage," and it sounds like it's kind of referencing, you know, hip hop culture women and how they're so savage, but she's just like, never going to let you down and just so sweet, among other things. I mean, she wore a necklace, which I think was a symbol that was tied to the Nazi party. And I don't really know how much of this is a real thing or isn't a real thing, but I will say that it felt microaggressive, the not a savage bad bitch thing. But anyway, Travis Kelse, her now fiance, has an ex whose name is Kayla Nicole. And I guess people did feel like Taylor Swift was throwing her subtle shade in certain songs. And this is less about race and just more about throwing the ex of your current some shade. She kind of made a reference in one of her songs about, your other girl like was on her phone and that made you sad, but I'll never not do that or whatever. I don't know. I'll never be on my phone. And there is, I guess, it wasn't famous to me because I didn't really follow Taylor Swift or her or Kayla Nicole or Travis Kelce very closely ever. But I've seen it now. There's a video where it seems like he's upset with his ex because she is on her phone at some event or whatever. And he doesn't think she's being present. And it's something that's online. And it seems like Taylor Swift was referencing that. And she kind of has just brushed over, like Kayla Nicole, the ex, has brushed over and just has not really responded to any of it and has just like gone about her life. Until Halloween, when she came out with a video of her wearing a Toni Braxton costume and singing Toni Braxton's song, which has lyrics that the gist of the lyrics, it's like, the song's cute. It's like, what are you thinking? Do you know about your husband? Anyway, the gist of the lyrics is essentially like, do you know this was like this dude, it's my leftovers and I broke up with him. Like, I made him leave and he begged to stay with me. Those are the lyrics. And it seems pretty clear to me that this is like pretty unsubtle shade being thrown back to Taylor. Maybe deserved. But pretty soon after that, and I believe probably Taylor leaked or was involved with her people leaking these tweets. But some tweets were leaked of Kayla Nicole tweeting some pretty racist and pretty vile stuff that I'm not going to repeat. They're gross. And my takeaway on this is, it seems like maybe there is some weird tone in Taylor Swift's new album, whether she's aware of it or not. I don't know about the, more serious allegations of wearing Nazi things or whatever. But there were, I think certain language did sound a little microaggressive to me. And it's obviously the things Kayla and Nicole tweeted were absolutely vile. And these could maybe just all be not great people. And I don't have to pick my fighter. I pick none. I pick none of these not great people. And in the vein of, since we're talking about Taylor Swift, she had maybe also taken a few swipes at Charlie XCX, who is another musician who had a really big summer, the Brat summer. It seemed like maybe she was giving her shade in some of her songs where she was saying things like, well, I'm not cool, but like at least I'm not on coke kind of lyrics. And a lot of people think they were about Charlie XCX, and it was a bit of a one-sided beef. But that's not really what I want to talk about Charlie XCX. I want to talk about her because I think she's fun and she's cool, and her music is fun to dance to. Yeah, and I like her performances. I think she's like fun and feisty and all that stuff. I sound so old, fun and feisty, like word. But I saw her on Goop podcast. I am an OG Gwyneth Paltrow apologist. I don't care. I love her. I don't care. She's not relatable. She doesn't have to be. She doesn't have to be relatable. She's a Nepo baby. She's always been rich, and, she was gorgeous in the 90s, and she dated all the gorgeous stars, and, she was really well dressed always, and, whatever. I just enjoy her. I enjoy her saying that she made up yoga. Like, I don't know. Every now and then we just have this guilty pleasure celebrity that we're just an apologist of. And I die on the hill that I am just a Gwyneth Paltrow lover. But anyway, she was on the Goop podcast, which, yes, I listened to. And she just was talking about partying. So she's kind of just going on about like, yeah, I have to party. It's just really important to me right now. It's really important to me right now to go clubbing and to party because it just like, it's creative and it helps me be creative. Like, girl, be so for real. Like, I loved partying in my 20s, but why are you talking about it like it's meditation or so? Like, why are you talking about it like you're just doing something so difficult for the art? Like, you're going out, girl. You're skiing. You're going out. You're talking to random girls in the bathroom, but you're acting like, I don't know, like you're climbing Mount Everest or something. I just found it really funny. It gave me a giggle. I should rebrand my 20s when I was like going wild on the Lower East Side as like this like real spiritual awakening and this like creative pursuit. Yeah, blacking out in cabs was all of that. It was super creative. I was very creative in my ability to take my contacts out and my makeup off and end up in bed looking like a mummy even after having 5,000 gin and tonics. Anyway, to wrap it up, and this might be a bit niche, and if you just don't even know who these characters are, who this person is, feel free to skip this part, but this is going to be my closer. I want to talk about the curious case of Bethany Frankel. So, a little background on Bethany Frankel. She is a woman. She is a woman. God help me. I'm podcasting, guys. This is what I'm good. I'm good at talking, right? But listen, if Alex Cooper can be a podcaster, I almost said Alice Cooper. If Alex Cooper, who I don't think can string 3 words together and just lives on saying, no, but wait, I'm obsessed. If she's making the millions, why can't I? Why can't I? Anyway, Bethany Frankel, she was in The Real Housewives of New York, which was a reality show on Bravo TV. And there's a few of these Real Housewives franchises. But anyway, she was a fan favorite. She was one of my favorites when the show first came out. And I think until the last 2 seasons, I always found her really likable. She was a bit of the Greek choir. Is it Greek chorus or choir? Anyway, kind of like a voice of reason. And she kind of says what we're all thinking. She feels like the more relatable one who has her head on her shoulders and like doesn't seem quite as delusional as everyone else that she's interacting with. Like she famously called out Luann, who's another, I almost want to say character on the show, but it is a reality show. So they're essentially themselves, but whatever. They're characters on the show because it's a show. But yeah, she called out Luann for telling a driver not to refer to her as Luann and to refer to her as Mrs. Deliceps. And Luann also famously wants to be referred to by her countess title, even though at this point she's not long, but she's divorcing and then divorced eventually from the count that she was married to. And, we're not in Europe and we're not in their jurisdiction, but she just kind of insisted on that title always. And Bethany was pretty good about being like, girl, come back down to earth. And that kind of was her vibe on the show. And she was the scrappier one, which we're realizing now is like kind of mixed veracity about that. It seems like she had a more privileged upbringing than she let on in those early years. Like, it does seem like her dad was financially contributing to her life, and that she went to good private schools, and she didn't necessarily grow up broke. But she wasn't the most moneyed one on the show at the beginning. She lived in a pretty normal apartment, and she worked, and she was building a brand, and she eventually did build the brand Skinny Girl. It started off with cocktails that were just like bottled cocktails that were low calorie. There's feathers coming out of my pillows. But anyway, all of this to say, I always found her to be this kind of relatable person, and it's giving me this dysphoria watching her social media presence, and just her in general, her public facing presence now. It's so completely unhinged and so completely narcissistic and just insane. And I'm just like, what did this crazy person that I'm seeing now develop over time after having some money and having some success? Did like the narcissism come like shooting out? Or was this always her and she was just more able to hide it? I mean, I guess I did notice in the last 2 seasons, as I mentioned, when she falls out with Carol Radziwill, who's another lady that was on the show that I liked. When she fell out with her, I did sort of see some of this sort of behavior cropping up, where she was, for winning argument's sake, kind of telling half truths, and I felt like there was some deception there, and I did feel that in the last couple of seasons, I was noticing that there was this kind of narcissistic little granule in there when she would talk to other people about what they were doing, and she was often really belittling of other people's efforts to build brands or to create anything. And I don't know. And this seems to have gotten a lot worse. She's like kind of almost a Trumpy figure now, where she's like, I'm the first to do this. I'm the only one who ever quit Housewives. They have a clause that's called the Bethany Clause. Like, she's very constantly tooting her own horn in a way that's super. I mean, even if you feel that way, you have to be some level of unself-aware and delusional to be this uncharming about it. I think we all know that some level of humility is part of being charming and part of etiquette, and nobody enjoys a braggart and a tryhard. And she is so incredibly braggy, like beyond braggy. Like, I saw her on Tim Dillon, or no, she had Tim Dillon on her podcast, which I check in every now and then just to see how crazy she's being. She had him on and basically spent the whole time feeding him lines to give her compliments on why she would be a good comedian, and how she is great at XYZ thing, and how they're exactly the same. I don't know. It's just nuts listening to her talk. And also, just there's a big pet peeve of mine with her that doesn't have to do with her bragginess and her narcissism. And it's that, listen, I had my own food issues when I was in my teens and through my early 20s. So part of this is just, it's very obvious to me when someone does have, let's just call it food restricting issues. And to me, it's very clear that this woman does not really eat. She also famously, in a book that she wrote, I think it was called Naturally Thin, she famously said, taste everything, eat nothing. And I think that's what this woman does. I think she tastes food and she does not chew and swallow more or less anything. And it shows a lot just in, her appearance. I mean, it seems like she's got some thinning hair, and there's just like sunken skull. Anyway, I have an unfortunate awareness of this because of my own issues with it myself. But she has this tendency to film a lot of eating videos where it's like mukbangs almost. Like, she's famously ate a bag of crab in her bed or something like that. But ate is always a strong word. She'll like theatrically crack things and then just put it on her mouth, but you never actually see the eating. And if she does take a bite, like, she'll even healthy things. It'll be like a rice cracker with cottage cheese and, I don't know, some dill on it. This woman will avoid all of the cottage cheese or anything that's on top of it managed to get one Rice Crisp, one little grain of rice out of the rice cake with her teeth, and then chew it for 9 months. Chew it for like 7 business days, as though it's like a piece of undercooked steak. She'll chew that thing and like make all these faces and squint. That habit she has too of every time she bites something, she just goes. I actually don't think it's fully voluntary. She's made it a bit of her signature. And like now when people comment, oh, that little squinty thing you do, I think she does it because when your body is in starvation and you eat this little bit of food and your body's dying for it, it's like, I think that's what's happening with the squint. It's like, like her body's like, please give me all the food. I've been starving for years. What's mainly annoying about it, I mean, obviously, I don't want to shame somebody for having eating disorder as someone who suffered with some of that myself. It's just that no one is forcing this woman to film herself eating. No one is forcing her to have content that is about her eating. If you can't eat, please do not film eating material. I can see everything you're doing. She puts a spoon of something in her mouth and the spoon comes out with all the food on it. And she's, let me tell you, this is so good. I don't do a good Bethany Frankel, but she'll just go on and on about how the chicken salad, girl, I mean, the 90 like little molecule of chicken that you put in your mouth. I mean, how would you know good chicken salad when basically your bite is like, it's like my pinky nail. And then she chews on it for a month. It's so irritating. That's my pet peeve. But yeah, those are my silly ass topics. And, sometimes I'm going to have these like lighter episodes because that's just how I'm feeling a little bit cozy and silly and goofy. So it'll always be in the title. So you'll kind of know ahead of time. And if you want those more hard hitting topics that me and Charlie like to get into or really like chew the cud, then tune into those. And it's called Peaked for a reason. Whatever piques my interest in Bethany Frankel's ability to be a mukbanger that doesn't eat food piqued my interest. And with that, I'll leave you for today. Peaked out. See you next time.